So, good morning, everybody. My name is Tim Ealer, and we're waking up to very cold temperatures here, covering a good portion of the U.S. Even in South Central Texas, 19 degrees. I don't know if that's accurate. It just changed. I don't know. Anyway, um, below freezing all the way down into Central Florida, 47 in Miami. Okay, even in the 30s, 20s here, in New Mexico, Arizona, and just brutally cold anywhere pretty much east of the west coast here, even in the northwest coastline here, northwest area of the U.S. is below freezing, right? Maybe just along the California coast, maybe getting away from it, right? But even down into southern Florida, brutal. Tampa 44, that is cold. Got you for this area, right? So what's the radar look like? We'll go over that. But welcome to my channel here. My name is Tim Ealer, like I said, and I'm passionate about the weather. Like this video if you like it, subscribe, and if you have anything you think that you want to talk about or hear about, please put it in the comments, and I'll be happy to address it here on this channel. And let's get started with the current radar. So when we look at the current radar, we have mostly snow on the map here with potentially heavy snow ongoing here and exiting the northeast this morning. And I pulled this webcam up here to show the conditions here in North Huntington, PA. Is a has cam, right? Light snow. Looks like it's the roadways are clear here, but it's brutally cold here. 20 degrees with snow. And we also got some snow here in central Colorado into parts of Kansas, with looks like an upper level system drifting to the south here. So yeah, especially in the upper Midwest, man, it's going to be brutal today. So, and along the lakes, just um, be careful if you're traveling out there today, guys. So, what's going on today for Middle Georgia after our snowfall yesterday? Well, let me put on my glasses here. Um, temperatures warmed in the 30 and 40s yesterday, so this was kind of put out yesterday, but the potential for black ice exists this morning, as the temperatures remain below freezing until about 10 a.m. this morning, and then they will warm up enough to melt any remaining ice that's on the roadway from like frozen melt off, things like that. So the areas, bridges, overpasses especially could have some black ice. So the northern tier here up toward Madison, well, I mean, generally just in this orange area, right? So we got a cold start to this week, right? So today, generally in the 20s. Tonight, mid 40s today. Tomorrow, low 20s, highs in the mid 40s as well. 20s, highs in the 50s. On Wednesday, getting above freezing overnight. Thursday, but still highs below normal here, and staying pretty constant temperatures here. So there may be a cold weather advisory in some areas, and the temperatures will remain 5 to 10 degrees below average through Wednesday. Again, temperatures today, the upper 30s to the low 50s, depending on where you're at. Of course, you can see on the map here. Sunny skies today. Tonight, the teens up in highest elevations of northwest Georgia to the mid 20s to upper 20s, way far to the south here with clear skies tonight. And again, tomorrow, about the same, about 40 degrees with highs in the low 50s further to the south with sunny to partly cloudy skies here. So this is kind of an interesting graphic I wanted to show y'all. First is the actual snowfall observations. Snowfall was measured by people in the Center National Weather Service. My cat is meowing at me here, but so this is the plot, right? Shows where the heavy snowfall was yesterday. It's mostly melted now, but just to the west, there was quite a few observations here, and to the northeast in the Eatonton area, 2 to 3 inches, right? Kind of a in the Bon area here, Warner Robins, potentially 2.5, which I guess they could have had, excuse me, a heavy band right here. It was really hard to measure because there was some melting going on as it hit the ground, and it took a while to accumulate. Even then, it was wet and slushy, so unless you had an elevated surface with like a flat board or something, it'd be hard to measure, right? So, next graphic here. This is the estimated snowfall for specific points, okay? So, again, highest amounts Eatonton area, okay? And then this is the county averages, right? So, Houston County 1.6, Millersville area 1.5, Eatonton area 2.7. Points north got almost nothing. So the National Weather Service forecast is pretty much right on as far as winter storm warning criteria. I think winter storm warning criteria for this area is 1 to 3 inches here. Wait a minute, this is the county average. This is my bad. Sorry. Going back, this is estimated snowfall for specific points. Warner Robins 1.6, period 1.6, Macon 1.6 here. And this is the observations, right? This looks like the same graphic. It's my fault. Trace down here in the south into the northeast. So quite a steep cutoff here. Very interesting event here. All right, here's the estimated snowfall specific points again. And this is the county average. So pretty much within the National Weather Service projections here, between 1 and 3 inches of snow. Not highly impactful for travel, at least in my area. The roads are mostly wet, but you never know if the snowfall is going to overcome the road conditions, which it did in some areas. So this is a really good forecast, and I think they did well in forecasting this. So hats off to them. And just wanted to show you this graphic. I hope you found this useful. So after a brief warm-up towards the end of the week with above normal temperatures, at least from this European ensemble output, getting below temperatures all the way through the beginning of February here, with some distinct dips here Saturday into Sunday here, right? And going to maintain this. A couple different pushes of cold air for highs, right? So lows, you see below normal with more variation further out, but the expectation, at least from trends, is going to be below normal for the long term here into the end of February. So we got to be mindful of this as we get towards this period. And I'll talk about this more in the long range forecast for next weekend. It looks very interesting. So we'll get started on that shortly. So as we move to the eastern part of the U.S., wind chill, this is 2-meter temperature, right? So right above the surface. Apparent temperature here. So, this morning, it's interesting how colors are different when you look at it this way. Okay. Wonder why. negative 30s here, right? It wasn't colored this way in the other one. I don't understand that. Oh, it's Celsius. Sorry. Here's Celsius. And here's Fahrenheit. No wonder. Anyway, apparent temperature. Go through this here. See the highest winds move further to the east. Of course, the colder temps, it warms up a little bit. You see as the winds push further to the east here, we get in the single digits, and this is 11 p.m. Of course, it's colder at night, but you see this here. Um, so, yeah, I mean, the next 18 hours, I hesitate to do this any further out, but you get the idea here, negative 20, negative 30s here, even in the Ohio Valley, Mississippi Valley, Lower Mississippi Valley, below temperatures, wind chill below freezing here. So I'd be not a very good meteorologist. I didn't show you the temperatures, which are probably more impactful than anything else out here into the plains, right? 30, 40 degrees wind chill going on right now, right? So going through today for the plains and then point south, wind chill values maintaining here in the negative 20s to negative teens here. And it warms up some today, but I mean, I don't know, negative 20 is still cold, right? It kind of moves to the east here, right? So this is hour 12. Let's go through the previous run, go all the way out to hour 18. So this is the highest winds here, right? And the coldest temps move to the east here and to the north. But even points south, single digits, teens here in Colorado, all the way down to Texas, below freezing for apparent temperatures. Now, if you look at actual temperatures, still like negative 20 for actual temperatures, right? So very cold here, guys. So I wanted to show this graphic here. This is the winter storm severity index graphic, and for today, the highest risk to travel with snowfall and weather-related impacts are highest here on the lee side of lakes, right along the Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, right, Lake Michigan, um, just along the favorite areas for lake effect, snow, wind, etc., and into parts of Colorado and Kansas. Now tomorrow the threat really ramps up here into the favorite areas, Adams, Worth, potentially a extreme snowfall, winter storm impact area, right? And another area just south, Buffalo, East Aurora, North Boston, Sheldon, Silver Creek, right? And so we move further to the west here. The threats are lessened, but we got some higher terrain impacts, looks like here in Montana and near Rapid City, and generally just low impacts, just for winter weather in general, right? As we get to day 2. Day 3, the impacts ramp up again in South Dakota, North Dakota, parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, Mason City, Lansing, Detroit, Buffalo, and Buffalo area, and the Watertown area as well, and in parts of Kentucky here for some winter weather. So as far as days 3 to 7 U.S. hazards, the 21st to the 25th here, 2026, the expectation is hazardous cold, um, depending on where you're at here, the 23rd through the 25th, 24th, 25th, and the 25th further south. I have a feeling they may push us even further south in the coming days. depending on the evolution of the models, right? And then heavy snow potential exists on the lee side of lakes here, the 21st to the 23rd, which isn't too far from now, a couple days from now. So quite this cold air is really going to make its presence known in the next several days. So you can see why the Buffalo area and Watertown may have this winter storm severity index so high. Expecting the 19th, which is today, through the 22nd, 4 feet potentially of snow here. Maybe 36 to 48 inches of snow in the next 4 days. You think we had a lot of snow in the south. This is a lot, guys. And then toward Buffalo area, just to the south here, potentially 2 to 3 feet of snow. So be mindful of this, guys. It's going to be, travel is going to be almost impossible in these areas. So if we move to the southwest, excuse me, and the west here, the snowfall amounts decrease significantly because we're not enhancing with the lakes. But then you can see the amounts start to ramp up here back to the north and west. But generally between, up right along the lakes here, the lake effect favorite areas, 8 to 12, maybe 18 inches of snow. Otherwise, generally 2 to 4 inches, maybe 4 to 8 in Erie here. But overall, not highly impactful in this general area through the next 4 days, or 3 days, excuse me. Now we move into the National Weather Service Grand Rapids area. So along the lake effect, the eastern side of the lakes here, excuse me, maybe up to 10 inches of snow here. Points to the east, less of course. So 3 to 4 to 5 inches potentially. But right along the lakes, of course, that's the biggest impacts in the next 3 days. So we look at the Gaylord, Michigan area. Again, expecting right on the Lake Effect favorite areas, maybe a foot of snow, and points south a little bit less. But the impacts aren't just going to be from just snowfall amounts, but winds as well, and bitterly cold temperatures here. So yeah, it's going to be a bad combination, right? But this is generally snowfall totals expected through Thursday. All right, so I wanted to briefly go over the Denver area because I have family that lives out here, but not expecting high impacts here. But points further to the south and east could get higher amounts into Kansas with this event. But overall, 0 to 1 inch or trace here. So not highly impactful out here as well. So this is the last snowfall graphic I'm going to show. This is in the Kansas. Not highly impactful here either, but here's the bullseye, maybe an inch of snow here in this area, but not expecting heavy snow here either. So just be mindful of the cold temps out here, guys. All right, so what we got going on here? In the mid and long term, there is a pretty good possibility of an icing event and snow event somewhere in the south. So what's driving this, right? You see the high pressure, and this is GFS. This is just for not a forecast, but more analysis of what's going to happen here. High pressure building down east of the Rockies, lower heights further to the west here, right? High pressure builds in all east of the Rockies and out west here as well, right? So as this happens, we got lower heights filtering in south here, right? And we're going to have an overrunning precipitation event. And what that's going to lead to, well, with cold air pushing down from the Arctic and preventing it from going further north, we have overrunning, right? And where you have overrunning, you have sleet, snow, sleet, freezing rain, and snow, depending on where you're at and how deep the cold air is here. So this is Saturday, right? We go a little bit further with this. See what happens here, right? Okay. And this is the GFS depiction of the energy moving in from the south, overrunning the cold air, which is firmly entrenched here in the deep south. And of course, because of the Appalachians and other things, well, orographic effects, the cold air isn't as firmly entrenched to the east here, right? Um, so depending on how this sets up, we could have a band of heavy snow along in north this line, and you have sleet depicted by this, and freezing rain. So this model, go further out with this. See how it pushes further to the south even, right? So, and offshore here, right? So this could be a pretty long duration event. You're talking starting roughly Friday morning. It's only 4 days away, guys. Maybe heavy snow breaking out in the central U.S., scooting to the east here, and then being suppressed further to the south. And when we get past this, it becomes more uncertain, so we don't really go past this, right? But this is the GFS depiction of what could happen here, right? So it's going to be a difficult forecast, but the models have been hinting at this, and all of them really have been hinting at this. So pretty good confidence that something like this is going to occur. Where the specific impacts are going to be, hard to say at this point. But what we're going to do is review the other model guidance as well, the European, Canadian, and even the UKMET as well. And I'm not going to use the ensembles or the AI models because I know they show precip on the map, but it's really hard to convey that to the public here where this might be. So I'm just going to use the operational runs here. Now this is the GFS depiction of the accumulated freezing rain where it could be. Now this isn't like a forecast. This is more just to give you an idea where freezing rain might fall with this event. Okay, and the fact that it's a definite, distinct possibility here. So most freezing rain we expected further south into Texas. And as you get towards the CAD favored areas, you have a different impact here, right? You move through time. Then maybe towards the end of this in February, you get some more freezing rain into the Appalachians and along the East Coast here. This is a model depiction of the sleet potential, right? So pretty much in the same area here, right? So, you know, could be a very high impactful event next weekend, this upcoming weekend. And this is a GFS modeled snowfall totals potential with this. You see where the northern edge of this is where they have the heaviest snowfall potential, right? You go through time further out. Let's see what happens here. But when we get past next weekend, we'll start talking about this some more as we get closer. But just in general, you see where the heaviest snowfall. And this is not a forecast. This is generally where the model's showing it is as of this run. Okay. So what does the European model show? I think the models generally agree that surface high build down east of the Rockies, as this shows, very strong surface high building down here. All right, get my glasses here. 1050 millibar high. That is incredibly high pressures, right? That's probably, this is anomaly, right? So the darker oranges show how the difference in heights are compared to normal. So very high pressures here. even higher, 1051. Okay, so slides to the east, get towards the end of this. You see the lower heights here, anomalies below normal, streaming to the north here, but you see CAD wedge and see how far south this pushes, right? So this far southern extent could mean more moisture pushing up to the east here. So we'll look at that on the surface here next. So yeah, so the European is still very bullish on this snowfall all the way down into Texas, right? East of the Rockies. Where this boundary of the cold and warm air is, you got freezing rain, freezing rain and some sleet here, right? This moves further to the east. Heavy, maybe heavy sleet, heavy freezing rain. Not showing a lot of sleet here, so either we got freezing rain or sleet, or snow, but this may not be able to resolve this easily here, right? Let's go back one run and take a look here. Very similar run consistency here. In the Euro, has been, a very consistent model, right? And so compare this to most recent run is 144. Pretty consistent across the board here. What's going to happen, right? High pressure even builds even further south. The moisture and overrunning spills further to the north. Freezing rain on where this coldest air is pushed further south. It really depends on where this high pressure is up here and how far south this cold dome stays and how it's eroded over time. So move back. We want to go a bit further out than this, right? So although there's a little bit of a difference here with the CAD wedge, cold air damming, potentially heavy snowfall somewhere where this along this boundary here. All right, previous run. Let's go a bit further out. See how long this lasts. Through Sunday morning. Moves out to sea. And the Euro has some more southern stream energy here, but doesn't really make it further to the north here. With this run, wants to bring some more. This is high pressure, wants to keep it in place here. Wow. So, you go through time with this. Towards the end of this, middle of February, maybe it warms up some, and the pattern changes here with some. You see along the west coast, I don't want to leave you all out. You got some off and on intrusions of moisture here, but you see the overall flow is generally this way, right? So, and we showed that on the long range outlook from the Climate Prediction Center as well. So when we look at the Euro and snowfall totals with this possible event through 1 a.m. on Sunday, this is the most recent run. You can see where the potential for heavy snow is, at least right now with this event. I'm not trying to leave the northern tier out of this because we know what's going on with the lakes, but this is major population centers possibly being impacted with this. So, in a very large spatial extent here. So, let's go a little bit further out with this one previous run. It looks pretty similar, right? And maybe you get a low pressure developing offshore here. Maybe some really heavy snow right on the coastline here. And you move further out with this, gets more uncertain. But yeah, I mean, pretty good agreement there with the snowfall totals. So the Euro isn't showing as much sleet accumulation, at least right now, with this possible event. So maybe due to thermal profiles, but the Euro has better resolution than the GFS. So I would tend to side with it at this point, but as far as amount of sleet, right? But So let's go back here. When's this going to start, right? Wednesday, Friday morning, this is only 4 days away. So we're getting within the range almost. This is 120 hours. So by the end of today, or tomorrow morning, we'll be within, the range of the NAM, or maybe some mid-range models, right? So 84-hour run models. So, um, this is sneaking up on us. I think because we were so hyper focused on this, I was anyway, the Southern Snow event. So, um, you know, and I have a lot of time to talk about this today because I'm off today for Martin Luther King Day. So, um, yeah, sleep totals aren't as high with the European here. So this is the latest run, 144 hours out for freezing rain potential here, right? You can see with the highest amounts. I mean, this is, hope this doesn't happen. I mean, we're talking on 1, 2 inches of freezing rain buildup. I mean, that's just insane, guys. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know, man. That's incredible if that happens. I hope it doesn't. Going back to the previous run, is a little bit less bullish on different areas, but overall, still about the same. So, when we look at the other model, this is the Canadian. Okay, this is starting off Saturday, the 24th of January. This is the latest run, 00Z, right? Um, all the models are just in such good agreement right here with this placement of high pressure and the almost record high um, pressures here. I mean, this is really incredible. This pushes to the east. And high pressure, you would think this color means warmer temperatures. No, it's coming from the Arctic, guys. So, excuse me, man, my sinuses are bad today. Slips to the east. This kind of favors more towards what the Euro was thinking, right? Because you have your high pressure here building down in, even stronger down here, right? And moisture treatment to the north. But at the beginning, you see what the heights are, right? The lower heights down here, low pressure, just general troughiness, right? And it really wants to push this further to the north here. This may be a little overdone. I don't know. We'll see. But it doesn't put the CAD wedge as firmly in place here. Although there's some semblance of that. The center of the high pressure is further to the west with this. So we'll see how this evolves in the coming days. So you can see the evolution of this as well with the Canadian, right? Snow pushing further south. Wants to really stream this to the north here with that more southerly flow here setting up right initially. Okay, overrunning moisture, cold air generally pushes to the south here. Really wants to bring this band of, look at that, snow, freezing rain into southern Texas and into central Georgia and the central parts of the South and along the Gulf Coast, freezing rain. Okay. You know, it's be interesting it plays out, but wow. It's pretty far south, guys. I don't know how realistic this is, but I mean, we got to take all the models into account here. But in general, I mean, they all show the same thing. It's going to be an impactful event. You can't ignore model consensus here. Now, the specifics of it, we don't know that yet, right? Okay, we're going to get snow, warm robins, freezing rain. What's going to happen, right? But we can look at this and say, listen, all the models are agreeing that something like this is going to happen. So we can't ignore this, guys. I'm not trying to hype this up. We just gotta keep an eye on this. This is potentially very impactful coming up here. Now we look at snowfall from the Canadian model. All right. This was supposed to show total, but there we go. All right. Kind of on board with the Euro, with the heavy snowfall on a band here, just off the coast. And not as bullish as the Euro though. Usually the Euro is not as bullish on snowfall totals, but seem to be the most bullish on them in general. So interesting. We'll see how this plays out as well. All right. Now we look at sleet. Same thing here, guys. Really on board was heavy sleet accumulations, maybe 1 inch to 2 inches here, even more, 3 inches in the deep south into parts of, the southeast, along the southeast coast. Depends on thermal profiles, guys, but this is more on board about the what the GFS is looking at. The European is not as bullish on sleet accumulations here. And I show this just for reference. It doesn't mean it's a forecast, okay? I keep saying that, but it's important to know that. So, freeze and rain, right? This model has its stuff pretty much further south, all on the Gulf Coast, right? Not much influence from a CAD wedge here. And this is through Sunday, 10 a.m., okay? And you see how we go here. This is Thursday night, Friday morning. You see how that pushes further to the south here, right? So all the models are agreeing on this scenario in general, but the Canadian really wants to push that cold air really far south, so we'll have to see how that plays out. So as we get through the models here, here's the model for England, the British Crown, UKMET, right? So this will be a long video, guys. Generally showing the high pressure building in, right? But much stronger with the low pressures here further to the south, okay? And it really wants to bring a low up into, well, this is interesting if this plays out. Cold air damming to the east here, low pressure forming and moving to the north, right? None of the other models are showing this. So, wow. Okay. Well, we got to look at this and see what happens here, right? But it agrees on the anomaly, the high pressure, but the low pressure forming here and moving to the north is an interesting scenario we'll have to be mindful of, right? And then transferring that offshore here. You know what's going to happen here, right? We'll look at that next. So when we look at the UKMET, we can't look at it. It doesn't have precip type as part of its output here. So we have to kind of rely on this, where the coldest air would be. So we're getting through the week. Once it developed that low pressure here, on the back side of it, of course, we're gonna have freezing rain, snow and sleet here, right? And wants to move it further to the north here. What happens? Transfers offshore. So do we get a nor'easter to bring snow here with this? Potentially, right? But this is an interesting scenario if it plays out, right? So we'll have to see how this evolves. I guess one way you can look at this is the surface temps with the UKMET. You get towards when that high pressure is building down, you can see where the coldest temperatures are, right? And that system, you can see it wants to bring pretty warm air further to the north here, with not much of a CAD influence here, with temperatures pretty cold up here to the north, right? We get towards the end of this. So let's take quickly take a look at the GFS AI model and what's it's showing, so we can compare it to the operational models, right? It doesn't have nearly as much of the CAD wedge in place over the eastern US, right? So what does that look for? Look, how does that look for us at the surface, right? We'll look at that real quickly here as well. So we have the beginning of this precip here with this high pushing down to the south. You can see how the high pressure is further to the north here along the east coast, and wants to bring maybe some overrunning here further to the north as it slides offshore and develop a low pressure offshore here. And that's basically what the European, the UKMET wants to show, right? Um, and maybe wants to redevelop some more precip on the backside of this on Monday morning, right? So, interesting scenario here if this plays out. You also see the anomalies associated with this event. High pressure situated further to the north here. This is the surface, right? Surface pressures. High pressure further to the south here, and you have this these heights building, right? Lower heights building up to the north, low pressure building out here. So, you know, like I said, that's what the UKMET is showing, where the European, the GFS, and the Canadian are not buying into this scenario. So there's still a lot to be worked out with this. The AI models are pretty new on the block here, so they may have the opportunity to prove themselves right here or wrong. So we'll have to see how this plays out. So when we look at the European AI, okay, um, going through the week here, they agree high pressure. This agrees high pressure here, but you see, it also wants to develop this low, right, and move it generally offshore here, right? Although I would say you have a pretty pronounced CAD wedge in place here with the European AI, so could have a serious overrunning event here. So we'll look at the precip with this next. Yeah, so I mean, the European AI is pretty much showing the same thing here. Wants to develop a pretty intense low, then develop it offshore, just like the UKMET, right? And maybe some backside energy here as well. So a lot to be worked out here, guys. It's just crazy how the operational runs are just really different from the AI models. So I I guess we'll find out which one is going to be right here. So the European AI surface pressure anomalies here. You can see the same thing, but a pronounced CAD wedge here to the east. What that means for the south, we'll see, right? But like, get that energy transfer offshore here. The high pressure is situated pretty good position here for northeast snow event, right? With this. So either way, I think we're going to have high impact weather next weekend, whether or not the AI models or the operational models went out with these. So when you compare the different models, the AI versus the operational, distinct differences exist. So we'll have to work those out in the future here. Run. I would say we have a pretty good chance, if this model is correct, of getting um, snow up here, somewhere up here, guys. So we'll see what happens. But I consider this outlier at this point. When we go a little bit further out here, risk of heavy precip map the 8 to 14 day U.S. hazards outlook. um, Generally along the west coast, northwest coast, the 26th to the 1st of February, and then extreme southeast on Alaska, the 26th through the 30th, with this slight risk for heavy precip, which is rainfall. Here's the current outlook for the risk of heavy snow for day 8 to 14 here. Excuse me. Interesting, it's only showing a risk here in the Cascades towards the end of the period with this. Well, through the whole actual um, period, 8 to 14 day period. So the northwest quarter here, the western U.S., will be likely back in the crosshairs a little bit as we get towards the end of the month with this. So when it comes to high winds, that risk still on the west coast here, 26th through the 1st. 26th through the 30th here, up into the northeast quarter, into the mid-Atlantic and Midwest. And slight risk here in southern parts of Alaska, the 26th through the 30th. So yeah, you see here where the cold temps are going to be. We got this moderate risk of hazardous temperatures in the longer extended period of 26th to the 29th, and the 26th to the 30th points south, all east of the Rockies here, all the way down to Central Florida. So this risk is very prevalent, and if they're talking about it, then we should take notice too here. So you can see why they're highlighting high confidence that cold temps, especially up here in the Midwest, right? Almost 100% confidence below normal temps. And as we get further south, the confidence is less. But overall, expecting colder than normal temperatures here, right? Out west with the ridge pumping up here above normal, right? And southern Florida and South Texas look to be either near to above, right? And right along this boundary here, generally where the highest terrain of the Rockies is, right? The cold air spills down east to the Rockies and pushes to the east here. So above normal in Hawaii for temperatures, above to near normal to below, depending where you're at in Alaska, and Aleutian Islands near to above. I know I don't have anybody probably listening from the Aleutian Island chain, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. As far as a 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, what do we got going? Well, trending to above normal along the mid-Atlantic, East Coast, into the Northeast, all the way down to southern Texas, parts of central Texas, and then lower Mississippi Valley, Ohio Valley, and down to parts of the desert Southwest. Near normal for the central U.S. to the, let's just say, the northern plains here into the northwest. Maybe below normal up here into the highest, the northern part of the country here, sorry, bordering Alaska, and below normal out west here into California and surrounding states. Above normal here in Hawaii, near normal to below, depending where you're at, to above. In Alaska, you're near normal to above or below, depending where you're at in the Aleutian Island chain as well. So when we get back into February here, for the temperature outlook, 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, expecting colder than normal temps, pretty likely here along the eastern seaboard, generally east of the Rockies still, with near normal temps in between. So this trend continues here, right? Near normal to below in the northern part of Alaska and southern Alaska, above normal temps here. The Hawaiian Islands above normal, near normal to below, depending on where you're at in the Aleutian Island chain. And then we get to the 8 to 14 day precip outlook, trending below for the central U.S. all the way into the eastern U.S. into the northeast. Near normal along the Gulf Coast generally, and above points south here. And the west coast may be getting back in on some higher precip amounts here finally. We'll see. And near normal in between the above and below normal areas. In Alaska, above normal precip chances for to the south, near normal for the northwest, to below normal on the extreme northwestern edge of Alaska province here, or state, whatever you want to call it. And above in the Aleutian Island chain, and then below in the Hawaiian Islands. So when we get to week 3 to 4 temperature outlook, this is the extended, right? So issued a few days ago. Generally, I think this still holds true. Below normal temps in the northeast, equal chances in between, above further to the west here, above in Hawaii, equal chances to above depending where you are in Alaska, and equal chances in Aleutian Island chain. Week 3 to 4 precip outlook, we got below normal, looking pretty likely here up into the up in New England, and points south of here into the Ohio Valley on the Mid-Atlantic coast. Not a lot of certainty either way here on most of the rest of the U.S. with the exception of the above normal chances here in the far northwestern tier, in the parts of the Intermountain West, above in Hawaii, and above maybe in southern Alaska, but equal chances in southeast Alaska and most of the rest of Alaska and the Aleutian Island chain. So as we move into the really extended temperature and precip outlook, seasonal temperature outlook, February, March, and April, this is issued a few days ago. They're highlighting the northern tier of the U.S. being below normal, with equal chances in between here, and points further south, especially along the Florida, desert Southwest, parts of Texas, northern Alaska, eastern Alaska, and the Aleutian Island chain, equal chances to below, and the other parts of Alaska. I think these are tied together, this below area and this below area here as well. Below normal temps, because they're relatively close to each other in terms of geography, right? So as far as seasonal precip goes, looking like to be above normal in Ohio Valley, the Midwest, Northern High Plains, the plains here, right? And points westward, west coast into the central U.S., into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, looking equal chances of going either way. And trending below normal further to the south here in the southeast and Florida. Florida has been in a drought, and it looks like it's going to continue here. In Alaska, we have different areas here above, further to the north and east and west. West here. My bad. Equal in between, and points to the southeast below here as well. So what does the future hold here, guys? You know, in the short term, cold air and lake effect snow, of course, but in the longer to, even the midterm here, we could have a seriously impactful event this next weekend. Hopefully it will just be over the weekend, and travel for work and other things won't be as affected, but you can bet wherever this happens, we're going to have travel impacts. Could be potentially very dangerous here. All right, so be mindful of that, and I'll keep you updated on my forecast as we go through the week, and we refine them as we get closer to the event, and short range models come into range here, and mid-range models as well. So hope you all have a good day off if you're off today for Martin Luther King Day. If not, sorry, but we'll see y'all tomorrow, and God bless.